Do you think the lottery should be saved, can be saved at this point?
Absolutely not. First of all, the government has no business being in the gambling business of any kind. That is not our purpose. Our purpose is to protect individual liberty, individual rights. And anybody knows that, you guys know that. That's what government is about. This is not protecting rights. And for those who are concerned about, the schools, they'll lose all this money, well, it never achieved anything at all. The maximum amount of money they've ever brought in is about $1.9 billion, which will fund 3 days. 3 calendar days of school is what it is. With our budget, we can find that money someplace else.
Ready to roll?
Yep.
All right.
Real Texan.
Why should this matter to real Texans?
I'm Daniel Greer. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Real Texans, where we talk to men and women around the state having an impact. With us today, we've got Senator Bob Hall. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
Senator Hall, you've been serving in the Senate for the last, I think, since 2015.
That's correct.
And your time, as far as I remember, has been characterized by attention on election reform and protecting our grid, Second Amendment rights. But now you've got a new target in 2025, and that's the Texas lottery. Can you tell me what's going on with the Texas lottery?
Well, I'm not sure we have enough time to really tell you all of what's going on there, but they got my attention in 2023 when we learned about the huge win, the $95 million win that happened in Colleyville, or that's the place where the ticket was supposedly sold. At that time, we thought that was the only facility involved in it. And I had a hard time understanding why there wasn't some sort of suspicion when somebody walked in with $11 million in cash, because at that time I was under the impression they would only sell tickets for cash. And so $11 million in cash in a briefcase, and bought $11 million worth of tickets. And that's all I knew about. And I thought that was just strange. And so started looking into it and realized that there's a lot more going on here than I'll ever understand in this. I had members of the commission at the time come over and explain to it. They tried to talk me into, or convince me that they could sell that many tickets in that facility at that time, still leading me to believe it was all done with a paper slip, with the slip, that they could process that many in there and it could actually happen. And I just never believed it. And so I had a bill to end the courier, because that made no sense. It was counter to what the legislation had said when they set up the lottery. It violated at least a half a dozen of the specific rules, such as you cannot sell to someone under 18. You cannot use a telephone. You have to buy your ticket and redeem it in a brick and mortar facility and only for cash. And it goes on that specifically, those were not insinuated, it was stated, and they had violated all that. So I had a bill that said, stop the couriers. Not going to do it.
So that was in 2023 that this $95 million jackpot was won, and you had your stop the couriers bill in 2023,
mm-hmm.
and that passed the Senate, but didn't ever get taken up in the House, so died there. You still took some action to try to stop that activity at the end of the legislative session in 2023, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, I put a rider. That's the standard practice in the legislature, to put clarifying direction on how an agency can spend its money. And so I put a rider in there that said you can't spend any more money on the couriers. They have to come to an end. That rider was ignored.
So you mentioned that there was one location, and I think you went to it actually in Colleyville to see it. Did it look like a place where you would normally buy lottery tickets?
No, I didn't actually go, but we had folks that did go and took photos of it. And no, it looked nothing like your average 7-Eleven or racetrack. It was just a white stucco building with one big sign outside that said "Hooked on Montana." That was their business. It was a fly fishing tour guide business, supposedly taking people to Montana to fly fish. But the pictures inside showed that their retail sales. They had two tables about the size of this one. One had some koozies on it. The other had some fishing paraphernalia on it. And then they had at least a dozen lottery machines sitting around in the room. And that was it.
Yeah. So the way that location was operating, there were more of those around the state. Is that right?
Oh, yes. No, but see, I didn't know that at the time. And the Lottery Commission, when I had them come to my office and talk about it, led me to believe that one place was an anomaly. That was the only one like that. And that absolutely they could process that many tickets, $11 million worth, and kind of insinuated it wasn't unusual for someone to come in with a large amount of cash, which triggered another concern was, are we laundering money? Because who legally walks around with several $1 million and buys lottery tickets? Someone who wouldn't mind spending $11 million ill-gotten to walk away with $3 or $4 million of good money that they could actually spend. And so that was part of my emphasis for wanting just to end that courier operation, because I felt there was an element of money laundering going on.
So I think that was brought up during a Senate Finance hearing by one of your colleagues, Senator Betancourt. It was pounded that very cleanly home with the current executive director of the Texas Lottery, Ryan Mendel. He's been in front of y'all's committees on multiple occasions. Have you found him to be a credible executive, somebody who's dealing openly with the Senate, both in the past and in the present? And do you think he will be going forward if he remains?
No, zero credibility. And the reason being, when he adamantly stated they had no authority to end the couriers. That's why they didn't do it. He kept saying they had no authority. They had said it over and over again. Had no authority to end it. But at that hearing, and then to counter that, 1 hour before we had our committee hearing, a month later, they put out a press release listing all the regulations that they were going to change that allowed the couriers to exist. But to go back to that finance hearing, it was at that hearing that an attorney out of Houston showed up who had been deeply involved in some lawsuits that were going on with some folks who were swindled out of some money relative to that. And he provided a 12-page letter with a great deal of detail about shenanigans, best way I can describe it, of irregularities in relationships and activities that had to do with $1 million being sent to someone in China that supposedly had won the lottery. We didn't have the details there, just the fact that it happened, or the fact that we were selling it, unbeknownst to most anybody, tickets in the Dominican Republic and in Europe, and just a number of other things that were in this letter that raised a lot of question.
So Texas was selling tickets into the Dominican Republic. Would they, and these are couriers, so-called couriers who are selling these tickets. Did they have permission from the state of Texas to do this?
It now appears they did, that the commission had given them permission to do these things. And the commission had done a lot to allow the couriers, who turned out to be not what they were described to me as a part of that meeting in 2023, when I asked, I couldn't figure out how, because it was described to me as a courier as someone who uses a phone app and has people that contact them through this phone app, and then the courier walks into the brick and mortar store and buys the tickets for them, provides them with the tickets, and then when there's a winner, they go back into the store and redeem it. And so I have this vision of individuals running little businesses with their app doing this, and I couldn't quite figure out how that was all quite legal. And then in the testimony there, and then following it with meetings and discussions with the attorney out of Houston and a couple of other people, an ex-lottery employee who knew a lot more of the details, they point out, Colleyville was just one of 4 locations that were involved in what happened on the 23rd, and that there was a organized effort to buy all 12,800,000 of the possible combination of 9 numbers, divided among 4 locations, 4 of the 10 that are considered to be, I call them sweatshops, where all they do is run lottery machines. They have no meaningful brick and mortar business. But 4 of them were picked. One of them didn't even have a license at the time. Their license had been allowed to expire, but the commission sent an order to IGT, the contractor who worked for the lottery commission, that provided all the equipment, the setup, the operations, day-to-day logistics, and they got paid based on the volume of business. So they had a real incentive to make sure all the machines were working and they're out there and so on. But they got an order, which was very unusual, to deliver about 60 machines to 4 locations, 4 locations right now. And to set those up and have them operating. And those were the 4 locations that divided up the $12,800,000 options using a phone app, which violated the law that created the lottery commission.
So when you say a phone app, they're using a phone app to purchase the tickets virtually, or are they there with the phone app?
No, they have a phone app. It creates a QR. There was an outfit. I was told the name of it was Spinola, that operated out of Malta.
Yep.
And they had created an app for the phone that would create a QR code that would have 10 lottery tickets on it, each with a different number, and could do that, run through all 12,800,000 fairly quickly. And so that was divided up among the 4 locations. And they used those with a interface with the lottery machine, which broke the law because the law originally said paper. I mean, the slip you fill out and mark with you had to read that itself. This now allowed you to use a phone, so it could be done quickly as fast as you could punch it. And so that was a violation of the law that to buy these, and it was divided. But the one location, their license had expired, but they went ahead and gave them, I believe, 12 machines there, 10 or 12 to each of the locations. Came to almost roughly 60 machines were taken out.
And all of this stuff, I think, people have been talking about it for a while. I mean, you had your bill in 2023. I know that there was some reporting done, some good reporting by Eric Dexheimer. And so some people knew about it, not enough people knew about it. And then this year in January, there was a $93.5 million ticket, if memory serves, that piqued the interest of our lieutenant governor. And then he took a trip down to one of these places that had a warehouse full of machines, and I think that just completely changed.
Oh yeah, just right outside of Austin. By then, I had met with him. I had told him what I knew about what was going on, and basically my conversation was, this is now elevated. I truly believe we have a criminal organization that's operating inside the government with the lottery commission that's doing this. And of course, that kind of shocked him, but he listened to what I had to say, because it would not have been possible for smart people on the outside to have done what they did without it having been facilitated on the inside. But when that was one, he decided to take a trip there, went there. He got to see, they would let him film part of it. But what we learned was that was a different location, but it had 44 lottery machines and no visible business. Matter of fact, we got some information from them that basically said that their retail sales were about $2,000 a month, compared to, I think, about $20,000 on the lottery side. And so they were clearly not what was intended.
Mm-hmm. So what it sounds like is we have the resellers or the couriers, and we have the vendor, IGT, and we have the state lottery, the lottery commission, working in harmony to expand themselves beyond what the legislator intended. Is that an accurate way of portraying it?
Oh yeah, the legislature had intended a random selection, a pure luck operation for winning the lottery. what the Lottery Commission had done was change the rules to facilitate fixing the lottery so they could guide it to specific people to win. And that's what exactly happened when the law specifically prohibited bulk buy, and just about everything, the wire transfer, you name it, everything they were doing was counter to the law, which were the items that the Lottery Commission identified that morning when they put out their press release. Oh, we're going to change these back. But it was specifically designed to allow a bulk buyer to win.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think the lottery should be saved, can be saved at this point?
Absolutely not. First of all, the government has no business being in the gambling business of any kind. That is not our purpose. Our purpose is to protect individual liberty, individual rights. And anybody knows that, you guys know that. That's what government is about. This is not protecting rights. And for those who are concerned about, the schools, they'll lose all this money. Well, it never achieved anything at all. The maximum amount of money they've ever brought in is about $1.9 billion, which will fund 3 days, 3 calendar days of school is what it is. With our budget, we can find that money someplace else to replace it. We can find someplace to move the part of it that benefits veterans to another place. And we can move the bingo to another place. My suggestion is that we put it in the TAB, Texas Alcohol and Beverage. They've had it once before. They are structured the right way as opposed to licensing. So I think it could be put there. But no, we need to be out of the gambling business. What they have demonstrated beyond any doubt at all is that it does not matter what we put in legislation, that the agencies can override that with their rules, ride underneath the radar and do whatever they want to. And here in this case, we have that happening in many locations. We've got it happening in Texas Parks and Wildlife. We have the Texas Medical Board doing the same thing. We've got a number of agencies that have taken it upon themselves to insert their personality into what they want the agency to be doing. And the legislature does not have the time nor the ability to make sure that the agency is doing what we tell them to do in legislation. So to write a new set of laws, I don't care what we would put in it. They've demonstrated they're going to do whatever they want to do. And if we allow them to go, I will guarantee you within a couple of years, we will have another criminal organization inside the Texas government finding a way to beat the system and for people working for the government to be making money. I mean, look at what happened with we have one of the Lottery Inc. Employees, one of the lottery company employees is on record. There's nobody denies it, had won the lottery 142 times inside.
Yeah.
142 times. 2 of those for $50,000 bets. So, no, I don't think there's any way for the government to control it. The people would be cheated. They were cheated with this. The Lottery Commission set up something that stole from the Texas people. Everyone who bought a ticket was cheated out of it. And the thing about it is, we don't know how many more times. It's just that one where they got really greedy. How many more times were there smaller greed actions? We don't know, and probably will never know.
So last question. Sounds like maybe we can get the bingo right. We clearly can't get the lottery right. What about all these other forms of gambling that people want to bring in?
Oh, if we can't think about how benign. If they take a look at the hierarchy of gambling, right at the bottom, is bingo. I mean, how do you mess with bingo? And it serves a good purpose out there, and I'm okay because it's a fun little game that nobody ever loses much or wins much, but they have it goes to a good purpose. And then right above that is the lottery. I mean, a simple thing. You just pick, 9 numbers. Forget all the other scratch offs, but you just randomly pick your 9 numbers, and you may or may not hit it. But then you move above that. You got sports betting, you got internet betting, you got casinos, which broaden the people that are involved in it, broaden it outside the control of the government. There is no way that we could ever ensure an honest operation in expanded gambling in Texas, it would be one of the worst things we'd ever do. We don't need the business. I mean, Texas is prosperous. We've taken more money now than we know how to spend. And to say we could use the money, this and that, all we do is find another way to spend it on something that has nothing to do with protecting individual rights and liberty. It's not needed, and it opens the door for organized crime way bigger than the tragedy of what we're seeing in the cheating that went on in the Lottery Commission with just the lottery game.
Senator Hall, really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you taking a fine look at this, and look forward to seeing what your next report's going to be.
We'll be at it. And thank you guys for joining us for this episode of Real Texans.